G'day everyone, welcome to another edition of Craps Down Under. Today we're going to continue our bankroll builder using our $202 that we had left over from our previous losing session. So we did have a losing session last video. I have actually reflected upon some of what was happening in that session. One thing that was apparent, I'll sort of go through it quickly. On the come out, there was a lot of come outs we weren't actually working, and you know, I'm just sort of experimenting around, sometimes not work the come out or work the come out. A lot of that video I missed a lot of opportunities to make come out hits, and so technically there were a number of cases where the points were established on these numbers, and then they would potentially make another hit, and then after that then 7 out. So by not working on the come out, yes, we weren't exposed to 7 outs or 7s on the come out. However, we did miss those crucial hits, which would allow us to sort of get hit number 1, and then even if we regressed or we pressed, either way, we'd still be making those two hits to get us basically our risk off the table with some profit. So we did miss a number of those opportunities just because of not working on the come out. So, and the way the math actually works, you know, that is still a roll. That's you know, 70%. You know, maybe it rolls over 10 and a 4 and then hits an 8. So we've had 2 hits. Technically, we have still had 2 hits before the 7. So in retrospect, by not working the come out, we've actually missed those crucial hits. So what I'll probably do this session, given we've only got to get $40 to recover this, our $200 bankroll, 20% is 20 to 30% is, you know, $40 to $50, somewhere around there. That's kind of our target that we need to make, and we're going to try and build this back up to where it needs to be. I'm not going to take anything from our reserve bankroll, which is still $370 in reserve. I want to make sure that we can get ourselves back in the profit with what we have here. We'll just play it at a little bit lower level and see how we go. So I'm going to be starting at the low level of 1 unit. All right, so for this come out, I'm actually going to work. So I'll work a lot more this session, and if we do start getting knocked off on the come out, then maybe only then I will start to play the come out a little bit more conservatively. So we're on, and we've got a 9. So that come out there, we didn't benefit, didn't harm us, didn't help us, but it is an inside. And we've got an 8. So that's a $7 winner. And we'll just collect. And we've got a 12 midnight. And we've got a 4, so outside. So I'll give this one more go. 9, so she's hit their point, okay. So this is a second come out, so I think, you know, there's a I guess a difference between the first come out and the second come out. I think it's more the second come outs that we want to be a little bit more reserved because of the number of rolls the shooter's already had. So they've had a 9, I think they've hit one of our points, they've had midnight, they've rolled a 4, they've finally hit their point. So they're at that sort of zone where, you know, even at a 16% chance of a 7, you roll it enough times, the 7's going to become, you know, it's going to happen eventually. And it just so happens that when you do the math, it is kind of, the average works out around 8.5 rolls. So, but the 50% mark is at roll 6. In fact, at roll 6, you're below 50% now of the hand to actually continue. So that's the averages. That's the math of how it actually works out. So we are at that kind of zone where we're now less than 50% chance to continue. So I will actually stay off for this roll. Give the shooter some room to roll 7. 4, so either way it didn't affect us whether we're on or not. So now we decide, do we want to risk the shooter for another hit or not. So that is the question. We're kind of at the end of their run in terms of averages. 9, so we're not on the 9. So that doesn't affect us. So, you know, we can do some risk mitigation. We could pull down a unit and just work the 6 and 8, but that does affect our probabilities. You know, we're now only a 5 and 5 or 10 versus the 6 combinations for the 7. So that does, even though it is taking risk off, it actually hurts us from a probability standpoint to actually make that third hit. So they're the things we've got to kind of weigh up here. If anything, to keep our probabilities above 50% after that first hit, potentially we should be picking up a 9. That's something else we can do. But we haven't done that. But maybe we'll do that on a next hand. And we got an 8. So I've made our 3 hits. So that's basically paid for everything that's on the felt. And I'm kind of inclined to pull back a little bit here, lock in some more profit. So what we've got exposed, so we've had 3 hits of basically 7, so we've made 21, and now we've actually got 12 on the felt. So no matter what happens from this point, we're ahead on this shooter. And 6, so we've got another one. So we'll take that. Now the question is, do we want to just collect? Do we want to press? We don't have to press, and I'm going back to my very first, where we first started. I'll only press if we really have to at this particular level, because we are playing with a $200 bankroll here. So, and we've got a 5, so 5 doesn't affect us. So shooter's rolling inside. And another 5. So would it be great if we were on the 5? But we've regressed and narrowed down our hits. Now we're kind of getting up there. This has probably got more chance of losing, staying up from this point. So I'll pull us down. Doesn't mean they won't still roll 6s and 8s. They could still get there. But I'm hoping the shooter's either going to hit their points and go through a come out cycle, which will then, you know, give some room for the 7, I guess, or they'll, you know, fairly soon 7 out. One of the two is going to happen. 6, so that's another hit that we've missed there. So that's 1. Yo. All right. This is a pretty good shooter so far. 10. Shooter's actually having a pretty good roll. 5, so he's hit that 5 again. So we've missed a few 5s. If we were on that 5, we would have actually done quite well. Oops, practically dropped the dice then. All right. And shooters hit their point. So that's quite a good roll for this shooter. They're doing fantastic. I'll let them set a point and decide what we're going to do. 3, so they haven't rolled really much rubbish at all. Just at the end there they rolled a little bit. And there's a come out 7. So it doesn't mean they won't roll another one. You can kind of take that view, well, they've rolled 1 7, maybe back to back is a little bit less chance, but the fact they've rolled 1, they could easily roll another one. So I'll let them set the point. 3. Okay. 4, so they're back on the 4. So outside number. So there's been a few rolls there between the points. So do we want to treat this like another shooter coming out? I'm a bit reluctant to do that, but I don't want to just sit there and watch the hand go by. I've seen them hit 5s, so maybe I'll just put the 1 there. I mean, this is kind of speculating, but we'll see. 9. Just going by what I've seen the shooter roll. Aces. So pretty long shooter, 6. So we missed that one. So I'll take it back down. Midnight. And 6 again. So if we'd have been working, we would have been in a much better situation than being off. But when you work with the averages, that's kind of what you've got to work with. So 4. So again, we won't work. We'll let the shooter have a chance to roll some 7s. There's an 8, so they're straight up onto the 8. So that's an inside. Maybe we'll go up on these two. Risk it. And they got a 6. Alright. So I'll just take that, I'll just collect it. Now we could always press, treat this as a kind of a bonus round, but I'm still trying to be conservative here. And there's our 7, so didn't quite get there. So in the end, lost $6 of profit by playing conservative. So doesn't always work for you, but you can see we have made some money, a little bit, but not a lot. So we may have to get a little bit more aggressive to get our profit. Maybe have to press, and that would have been a good one to do it on. So let's work on the come out again. I'll get some new dice, and we've got a 9. So again, another come out that we didn't get. Don't need that on there anymore. And we've got a 6. So there's a 6. So maybe we'll let's press this one. See if we can get a second hit. We'll let it sit there for a bit. Let's see if we get it. We've got an 8. So alright, so the 8, we'll collect the 8. And 10, shooters move to the outside. Alright. So far the shooter's done pretty well, and they've got the 6, so they've hit the 6 again. So this one here, we're going to collect 15 for 1. So that's kind of helping us get ahead. So I'm looking at what's our target. Target was $40. So there's a 5. Colour that one up. Now I'm just aware of what we've got on the felt because I am going to regress down. So let's see. There's 20, 25. There's 30, 35, 40. There's another 5 and 1 and change. So let's see where we're at. So got our 30 there, 35, 40, 45, 46. So we've made our profit target based on a $200 bankroll. We've made our profit target with 20%. So we have got there. We don't have to do too much. Our final bankroll now, given that's 100, and that's 100 there. We can actually probably colour this up, get a green in our rack. Let's get one green. So we've got $246 from our $200 session buy-in. So that's us done. We've hit our profit target. So we've basically caught ourselves back up from our last losing session to 240. So 246. So our next session we can again do the same, and because given that we've got 246, 20% is basically going to be $50, so somewhere around that $50 mark will be our next target, and that will then get us basically to that $300 mark where we need to be. So I'll leave it there. We've recovered a little bit, so we can't always win every single session, but at least on our last video we did recover some of our loss. We did have one hit where I had, I think it's 24, 24, 20. So you basically got, you know, $70 that we lost on that hit, and that's because I was sort of chasing the hit. I was trying to recover some loss, but I kind of was staying in the hand for too long, hoping the shooter would hit those numbers. They didn't, and I just stayed for too long, and I wasn't doing the count. And it's very easy to kind of get fixated on what you're trying to achieve and not actually looking at what's happening on the table. So that was definitely a mistake that cost us $70 out of our bankroll in the last session. So it's really, really easy to do that and to kind of want the win and want the hit, but wanting it doesn't make it happen. And we just outstayed our welcome a little too long, and we got caught by the 7 when the shooter was sort of hitting outsides, and they may have hit, I can't really remember exactly what they hit, but I know they hit a few outside numbers. They may have hit some rubbish numbers, and we just stayed there too long, and we should have been like, okay, are they doing what we want, yes or no? Kind of a binary decision. Are they doing what we want? Okay, we'll stay there. If they're not in these inside numbers, then take it off the table. And we didn't follow that discipline on that particular roll, and it really hurt us for the tune of $70. Given where we're at now, we'd have our $310 or so in our bankroll there. We wouldn't have been down so far. So anyway, I'll leave it there. That's our session done. That's another, we can chalk that up as a win, and we'll come back again in the next video, and I'll try to aim to get another 20%, get another $50 and build us back up. So we're not digging into this. I don't want to touch this unless I kind of until this gets to a level that really I can't really play effectively. So it was $200 was still effective. If it was below that, I probably would have topped it up with, just to be clear, I would have topped it up with that $70, kept the 300 here to get me up. But I really don't want to go into this unless I absolutely have to. And so I'm just going back to grassroots. Let's start with the minimal amount, with $200, and we'll build it up from there. And it shouldn't take us, if we're playing correctly and doing the right things, not making the mistakes that I made in the last video, then we should be able to build ourselves back up. I mean, the last video did have quite a lot of terrible rolls. We just weren't getting the hits on these numbers, and that'll happen from time to time. You'll get every other number hitting, horn numbers, etc. hitting, but you won't get these hitting, and that can just happen. That's just the variation in the game. So we've been lucky to, I guess, not have that happen too many times, but it will happen every now and then. We'll certainly see those crazy kind of rolls where it's just not hitting anything we're on, and then the 7 shows, and the biggest thing is we're missing those come outs that we should have been on and getting those hits. So that's something I did change here, and that did actually give us a few hits. I did get a little bit conservative there and turn off probably when we shouldn't have done that, and we did lose some hits, but in the end we've actually got there, so I'm not too worried. So appreciate you watching, and we'll see you again very soon. Bye for now.